Ihoma then said, I want you to lay with me and I will make you rich. Once upon a time, in a village of Amoko, where hardworking and beautiful people live, there lived a girl named Ihoma who was born blind. Ihoma was a pretty girl. She lived in a beautiful hut since her parents died mysteriously. Since then, she was raised by her grandmother until she passed away. Many years later, she thought of making people to love her. So she decided to make all the men in the village get rich easily. One fateful day, she heard a knock on the door. She was surprised that someone came to her hut. She said, "Come in." Then a man walked in, greeted, and asked her for a cup of water after a long day looking for an animal to hunt. She said, "Hello, mister. I'm a blind girl. Please, what is your name and how do you know someone stays here?" He replied, "My name is Obinna, and I wasn't sure someone stays in here, so I decided to check in." Ihoma was surprised that Obinna was not scared of coming into her home that no one has ever entered before. And she pointed at the pot of water and said, "Help yourself." After some hours of talking and sharing little history of themselves, Obinna said, "I should be on my way now. I will come again next time I come out to hunt." And Ihoma left him puzzled with her words. A lion is always a king if he isn't scared of taking a risky step. This got Obinna thinking on his way home until he got to his hut. Days passed. Ihoma was hoping to see Obinna again. One Friday morning, she heard a knock on the door. She said, "Who is at the door?" Obinna answered, "It's me." Ihoma smiled because she has been looking forward for Obinna's visit for some days now. She then said, "You can come in." Obinna came in, greeted, and asked how she has been faring. She answered, "Isi ka guzo," meaning I am still standing with my head. And she also asked how he has been with his hunting. He sighed and went further to ask Ihoma, "Please, what do you mean by what you said the last time I came? A lion is always a king if he isn't scared of taking a risky step." Ihoma smiled and said, "Remember, you told me about your story and I felt pity for you. And I have something to share with you that can actually help you. And I don't know if you will be interested." So Obinna said, "Please tell me, I want to know what it is." Then Ihoma said, "I can make you rich." Obinna laughed and said, "How can a blind girl make me rich?" Ihoma smiled, "I will make you rich if you are ready to do what I want." Obinna was surprised how serious she was, leaving him with so much questions in his head. And he said, "I will do anything if you can make me rich." Ihoma then said, "I want you to lay with me and I will make you rich." Obinna was shocked at first. He then laughed and said, "Is it just that? I will do it." The next day, Obinna came to Ihoma's house to spend the night at her house and hoping to get rich by morning. It was sunset and Obinna had laid with Ihoma the blind girl. The next day, Ihoma told Obinna to go home and he will find a lot of gold, jewelries and diamonds under his bed. But he must spread this news to other men in the village and they must come to her if they want to get rich. Ihoma's reputation spread like wildfire throughout the village and neighboring communities. Men would seek her out, desperate for her assistance in achieving wealth and success. However, there was a condition attached to her help. Before any man could become rich, he had to spend the night with Ihoma. At first, The men whispered about it in secret, but as more and more of them returned from Ihoma's hut with newfound wealth, the whispers turned into bold conversations. Ihoma became a topic of fascination and envy among the villagers. One day, Ihoma had a knock on the door, and to her greatest surprise, it was the king of her village, who has also come to seek for more wealth because all the men in the village are now richer than him. Then Ihoma said, "If you want to be wealthier than every man in the village, you must live with me for at least 1 week without seeing the sun." And so the king agreed. After 1 week, the king was filled with gold and diamonds and silvers that he had to build an hut where he stores his money and was guarded by strong men. Months passed and Ihoma's power spread throughout the village. The women of Amoko village, however, grew hatred for what she does to their husbands. They were outraged that their husbands had to sleep with Ihoma to become rich. They felt betrayed and humiliated by their husbands' actions. Months later, the women decided to take action. They marched to the palace to seek justice from the king. When they got there, they pleaded with him to put an end to Ihoma's actions and restore harmony to their village. But the king, remembering where his wealth is from, swayed by his own greed and desires, turned a blind eye to the women's pleas. He had benefited from Ihoma's powers himself and saw no reason to intervene. So the king said, "Go home, beautiful wives of powerful men of Amoko, and join your husbands in enjoying their wealth." Feeling abandoned by the king, the women decided to take matters into their own hands. The next day, the women of Amoko village gathered at the village square to think of a way to stop their husbands from the bondage they are all in. The queen, who was in charge of the meeting, said, "Wives of Amoko village, we have seen this tragic event that we are facing. Please, what can we do to stop it?" Madam Truce, who was the biggest restaurant owner at the village market and who lost her husband a long time ago, stood up and said, "I think we should tell them to minimize how many times they sleep with the witch, as all the women call Ihoma." Madam Adazi stood up and said, "Shut up! Is it because you lost your husband and all our husbands come to your restaurant to eat and lavish their wealth?" This was caused murmuring and quarrel among the women. The queen shouted, "Quiet! We are here to make peace, not trouble. Please, we need a plan." After some noise of what to say, a woman shouted from behind, "Let's burn down Ihoma's hut." After a few seconds of quietness, another shouted, "Yes, yes, yes!" They said continuously. Madam Truce was very angry with that plan, so she left with her friends that also supported her. The queen had no choice but to let them know her decision by their next meeting. The next day, the queen sent her bodyguards to Ihoma's hut to find out about her hut and if their plan can work out. On reaching there, the bodyguard, whose name was Chisom, saw his old-time friend, Uzoka. With surprise, he asked, "Where are you going to?" Uzoka said, "I heard a beautiful lady helps men in this village get rich." Chisom said, "It is true, but I'm not sure she will accept you." Uzoka said, "I see the reason you are still poor. We need to try it out first." Chisom, forgetting the queen's message, sets to become rich with his friend Uzoka. Days later, the queen, so shocked to see her bodyguard with his own bodyguard along the village square, with anger, she decided to carry out the plan with the women that night. Under the cover of darkness, they gathered outside Ihoma's hut, torches in their hand. With a collective cry of anger, they set her hut ablaze while she slept inside. The flames licked at the thatch roof, sending smoke billowing into the night sky. Ihoma woke up feeling the heat of the fire, but it was too late. Her hut was engulfed in flames and there was no escape. The next morning, the village awoke to the remains of Ihoma's hut and couldn't find her cause, but they were satisfied that at least Ihoma will not be disturbing them anytime soon. The men, furious at the destruction of their source of wealth, turned their anger towards their wives. They blamed them for the loss of Ihoma and the riches she had provided. In their rage, the men convened a meeting and passed a harsh decree that all women must be obedient and loyal to their husbands, no matter the circumstances. Any disobedience would be met with severe punishment. The women of the village, now stripped of their autonomy and freedom, had no choice but to accept their fate. And so the blind girl who slept with all the women in the village became a cautionary tale, a reminder of the dangers of power and the consequences of unchecked desire. But do you think Ihoma is gone? Thank you so much for coming to my channel. Please don't forget to subscribe for more folk tales.